that is in the west region of Cameroon. Good evening, dear televiewers of Equinoxe television. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. First, our major points. The man who allegedly exhumed the corpse of an Elekam official from the All Saints Baile Cemetery in the northwest region of Cameroon says joblessness and frustration is what pushed him to carry out such an abominable act. According to Tor Peter, he was to be paid a sum of 500,000 francs as compensation. Diplomatic ties between the Republic of Cameroon and Chad have worsened following the sale of oil assets by Exxon Media to Savannah Energy. The rift has caused the Chadian president to recall his ambassadors to Cameroon. Can such a rift have an impact on the country's bilateral relations between both countries? That's what we'll be looking at in this edition of the news. Stay with us for details and more. Good evening once more, dear televiewers. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. You made the right choice. We'll begin right away from news coming from the northwest region, where a 35-year-old boy known as Tor Peter has been arrested over the weekend after he allegedly exhumed the corpse and later cut off the hands of the deceased Jackie Elekam head. He has confessed it was due to frustration and joblessness that he had to carry out such an abominable act. While being presented to the press in Bamenda, he said he was to be paid a sum of 500,000 francs by those who assigned him. We have more of this report compiled by Mala Glory.
With the use of a spade, a knife, and a plastic bottle containing detergent, the suspect confessed he was able to accomplish his mission. Tor Peter, accompanied by police officials, reconstitute what transpired on the night of April 15, 2023. This was at the Bahele Cemetery in Queen, northwest region, that the 28-year-old boy dug a grave for fast cash. He says this was after a business deal with a client who agreed to pay him an amount of 500,000 francs CFA. The person I had a deal with reported me to the police, so right now I'm all alone. We agreed that when I bring the bones, he will give me an amount of 500,000 francs. I don't even know his name. That is how he got here and dug the grave. Unfortunately for him, the person who happens to be his client was our informant. Tor Peter, according to him, went into this deal out of frustration. For this reason, he was able to face the risk alone. According to security officials, he succeeded due to the absence of electricity at the abandoned cemetery. Most cemeteries today have been abandoned in the bush and with no electricity, and this is not proper.
They be almost abandoned. They are in the dark.
He was arrested and presented to the press in Bamenda. The 28-year-old Peter is currently in detention for continuous investigation.
Northwest region to now the central region, where clergymen have called on the government of Cameroon to do thorough investigations and arrest Emmanuel, who is suspected to have tortured a 12-year-old child known as Christelle Marie-Noël Gondumba to death in Lindwa village, central region of Cameroon. The call was made during a mass that was organized in memory of the Class 6 people in Lindwa. Swat Jukan Gabriel reports.
At the Catholic Church in Lindoy village, former classmates of late Christelle Marie-Noël Gondumba gathered to pray for the repose of the soul of their friend who passed away during the second term break. The officiating minister, Reverend Father Njinjok, used the opportunity to call on parents and guardians to handle your kids with the fear of God.
Nous nous rassemblons ici aujourd'hui.
We have assembled here to condemn the act on Marie, to say no to hard drugs consumed here.
Surtout la drogue qui sonne dans la région.
The sudden disappearance of 12-year-old Christelle Marie Gondumba still remains a mystery to her class teacher, who says her space is still empty. in class. She was a very shy and reserved orphan in class, but she respected everyone and available when needed. I was scandalized discovering that she died only on social media. According to the mayor of Bonjok, the little girl wouldn't have died if people were not quiet. And he blames this on the culture of the Bassa people that is steadily changing. The social organization of the Bassa people is in danger because it's in total disorder. Anyone lives in his or her house and no one has the right to tell them anything. A child is no longer for the community but for a particular family. The government on its part has decided to arrest some close relatives of the man who is suspected to have committed the act, as the divisional officer told Equinoxe television.
Tout ce que je peux dire.
I'm asking the population to work in collaboration with the forces of law and order, because this situation wouldn't have been this way if they reported the case on time. We have arrested the woman of the suspect and brothers of the alleged killer.
A gardé le silence pendant plusieurs jours, alors que certainement il devait être au courant des sévices que subissait cette fille.
Till date, the whereabouts of the suspect, Pagbe Emmanuel, is not known, but his house has remained closed, while Christelle Marie Noel Ngondumba is resting in her tomb, hoping that justice will be done for her death.
And now to politics. Militants of the Social Democratic Front SDF party in Lum, Mongo division are at loggerheads with each other. The bone of contention stems from the fact that Senator Moshigle Vanigansen is imposing Joko Bruno as district chairman, whereas he is a deputy mayor of Lum. The decision of the imagery, according to militants, is against the constitution of the Social Democratic Front SDF party. A.C. Lucy Liengu has more.
Rising tension among SDF militants of Lum Mongo division. According to the militants, Joko Bruno, who is contesting for the post of district chairman, is ineligible and should not apply. Joko Bruno, who holds the position of deputy mayor in Lum, to the militants is against the SDF constitution. The test adopted in 2016 states that one cannot be a member of the municipal executive and chairman of a district. Today he is contradicting everything, saying that in a meeting with Chairman Ninjon Frundi, it was agreed that the text shouldn't be respected. All we want from him is a letter from the chairman. A challenging situation for the population, who also complained the emissary of the party contradicted himself on the ground, because during the last elective meeting he insisted that the party test be respected.
Dans les résolutions de 2016, cette résolution avait été prise.
The 2016 adopted test states that anyone who is mayor, deputy mayor, is not supposed to be president, because once you hold these positions, you can't really carry out your functions.
Pour faire la liste pendant l'élection, il supporte. Il fait d'une façon où il écarte certaines.
The tension divides the SDF party in Lum, as the militants feel that the emissary Senator Moshigle Vanigansen is wanting to violate the test by imposing Joko Bruno, who is already deputy mayor. According to the militant, Guy Meli Hebdieu is the better candidate for the position of district chairman in Lum. Failure to do so, elections won't take place. It should be recalled that it is the second time the SDF primaries have been cancelled within Lum.
And away from politics, apart from the devastating impact of the Anglophone crisis, The people of Tole in Boya subdivision of the Southwest region say they are faced with bad roads, water scarcity and non-operational health facilities. The worries of the people were channeled to Honourable Member of Parliament for Boya Urban Constituency during his visit to Tole. We have more of this report done by Fomi Armstrong Sanda.
Situated some 3.5 kilometers away from Boya, Tole is one of the localities that got the worst of the socio-political and security crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Hard hit in the peak of the crisis, Tole saw the destruction of properties, displacement of locals, and a distortion in social order, leaving Tole today with a host of challenges.
So if I look at the main road from the Catholic primary school leading into the village, it is in a horrible state. The lone health center that was existing here in Tole, constructed by the government, offered to the community, was touched by these guys, and today the people are left without any medical assistance here in the village. If anyone falls sick, he must leave the village and go up to the general hospital or other medical centers. The water supply in the village is very epileptic, so the people are suffering to gain access to potable water. And our schools here, the secondary schools and the primary schools, many teachers that have been sent here are very unwilling to come here, following what they saw and lived during the days of the crisis.
Away from infrastructural, Tole is also confronted by a challenging healing process characterized by the need to get people back to their farms, schools, market, and onto other social activities.
Many of our mothers, of our brothers were actually homeless, and some are still struggling, very vulnerable. Some will find themselves involved into prostitution, some due to the stress and the joblessness or employment, if I was saying, they will be roaming around smoking and stealing.
Challenges which were presented to the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Boya Urban Constituency, Honourable Donald Eseme Malumba, in a town hall visit to Tole.
Come as the Member of Parliament, our philosophy of consulting our base permanently in view of knowing the worries, the challenges, and the expectations. And of course, through these community organizations, we've been able to identify some of the challenges in this region. We have given them the support that we can as their elites, especially for now, as concerns the road rehabilitation in Tole. By and large, we have listened to the people, we have communed with them, and we are going with the firm engagement to work for the solution to the problems which they have tabled to us to channel to the authorities in their home.
Accompanied by 10 traditional rulers from Boya subdivision, the town hall visit of the Honourable Member of Parliament, first of its kind from an elected official of his ranking since the escalation of the Anglophone crisis, also provided an opportunity for Honourable Malumba to present a consignment of support items from the presidential couple to the Ministry of Territorial Administration to the people of Tole in Boya subdivision.
And now to news connected to the Martinez Zogo murder case. Arnaud Froger, Investigative Bureau Chief at Reporters Without Borders, has maintained his statement that Jean-Pierre Amougou Belinga ordered his close friends and commandos to kidnap and torture journalist Martinez Zogo. He adds that the Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seal is highly implicated in the affairs, that is, according to Justin Danway, in a verbal statement he made, which was captured by reliable sources. He was speaking on the televised program on Equinoxe TV known as Entretien upon his arrival to Cameroon. Innocent Aze reports.
Reporters Without Borders Investigative Bureau Chief Arnaud Froger maintains declarations made at the start of the Martinez Zogo affair.
On les maintient d'autant plus.
On the program Entretien on Equinoxe television, he said they were never doubting the facts gathered and reported that Jean-Pierre Amougou Belinga, the Zonka CEO and co, detained at the principal prison in Kodengi, Yaoundé, organized the abduction and torture of Martinez Zogo, resulting to his death. Evidence: Amougou Belinga, he says, commanded the act, was later arrested alongside his collaborators. Arnaud Roger in the program also maintained his statement earlier made that Justin Danwe affirmed the Minister of Justice phoned the commandos to give them orders. This was exactly what Justin Danwe said in a verbal statement. According to other sources, Reporters Without Borders consulted. Some of the sources even gave in-depth information implicating the said ministry. For those who are still doubting the identity of the mutilated corpse found on the 22nd of January 2023, the journalist of Reporters Without Borders expresses shock by these attitudes of persons who are nursing this manipulation. We saw his body, his photos and videos. He was even recognized by his wife by the clothes he was given to wear that fateful day of his disappearance. Our reporters were on the scene. 2 autopsies were conducted with affirmative results. So, there is no room for doubts on this.
Il n'y a absolument aucun doute sur l'identité du corps qui a été retrouvé.
Arnaud Roger is thus not changing course. He keeps moving on track and is in Cameroon to continue his investigations on the assassination of the journalist.
And away from news related to the journalist Martinez Zogo murder case, some prominent personalities have expressed worries over the recent tension between Cameroon and Chad on the Savannah Energy affair. Honorable Jean-Michel Nincho, just like Professor Maurice Kamto, think President Paul Biya must explain the implications of his son in the affair because Cameroon does not belong to private individuals. And Abila compiled some of these reactions and tells more in this report.
Following rising tension between Cameroon and Chad over the Savannah Energy Petroleum affair, prominent personalities in Cameroon say the issue is delicate and must be treated as such. The president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto, in an outing, says it is urgent for the president, Paul Biya, to clarify the implication of his son, Frank Biya, in the Savannah Chad affair, else public opinion would conclude that private individuals are using the name of the state for personal interests. This diplomatic tension can put into jeopardy not only the interest but the security of the entire country. Professor Maurice Kamto notes also that Chad has strong diplomatic ties with Cameroon, which shouldn't be thrown to the dogs for individual gains. And Honorable Jean-Michel Nicho, on his part, questions if it was for the Savannah ExxonMobil Chad-Cameroon petroleum affair that a former Minister for Mines was killed, asking why the late Dr. Gabriel Dodondoke has not been replaced since his sudden demise. The Member of Parliament says proper investigations must be done. If not, the lives of over 30 million Cameroonians are at stake to the benefit of who he described a monarch and his son at Etudi. Barrister Akeremuna also reacted on his Twitter page. Transparency International, he says, defines corruption as the use of entrusted power for private gain. Influence peddling is therefore corruption. The Chadian government, according to Barrister Akeremuna, seems rather angry over the aggressive support a supposedly private company, Savannah, got from certain influential individuals. Cameroon, according to him, might well be dealing with yet another case of corruption in high places. He asked the question too, who will stop these oligarchs? And as a result of the strong disagreement between Cameroon and Chad in doing business with Savannah Energy, the Chadian president Idriss Déby recently called back the Chadian ambassador to Cameroon in a communique in which he expresses dissatisfaction. Chad has sent several missives to Cameroon in that line, but the Cameroonian government is still silent.
For today's edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. Have a lovely evening.